In the headlines, resident doctors suspend planned nationwide protest, says strike continues. Group drags ECOWAS to court over Niger military ultimatum action. 1 killed, 14 villagers abducted as terrorists attack Katsina villages. And on the foreign scene, 5 killed in South Africa's Cape Town amid taxi strike. Well, hello there, good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We start with the latest regarding resident doctors, as the National Association of Resident Doctors in Nigeria has suspended its planned nationwide protest scheduled to begin on Wednesday. The president of the association, Dr. Oji Emeka Innocent, says the decision was made by the National Executive Council of the association after its virtual meeting late on Tuesday night. He said the association would renew the decision after 72 hours. The NARD is currently on a nationwide indefinite strike and had earlier announced that it would commence daily nationwide protests and picketing of federal health institutions from Wednesday. According to the president, the industrial action by the association, however, still continues. Dr. Oji says the government has not shown enough commitment to meeting the demands of the resident doctors. The suspension of the planned nationwide protest follows a meeting between the leadership of the NARD and the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. To other health matters now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed a total of 1,534 cases of diphtheria across the country. The NCDC says a total of 4,160 suspected cases have been reported from 27 states across the Federation in 139 local government areas. The NCDC disclosed this in its diphtheria situation report from May 2022 to July 2023, released on its website. The confirmed cases were distributed across 56 local government areas, including 1,207 cases in Kano, 250 in Yobe, 41 in Bauchi, Katsina with 9, Lagos State recording 8, the FCT recording 6, and Kaduna 5. Other states include Niger with 2 recorded cases, Gombe 2, Osun State, and Jigawa, as well as Rivers, all recorded 1 apiece. Away from health matters now, an international civil rights group, Egalitarian Mission for Africa, has dragged the economic community of West African states to the bloc's court over the proposed military action in Niger Republic. The group prayed the court to invoke ECOWAS protocols to stop the military action against Niger. The suit was instituted on his behalf by a Nigerian lawyer, Kayode Ajulo. The plaintiffs argued that ECOWAS treaties prohibit aggression among member states. The group prayed the regional court to invoke relevant ECOWAS treaties and international laws to stop the military invasion of Niger Republic. Now, the group says any military intervention in Niger would be tantamount to aggression between ECOWAS member states against the country. Now, the group in the suit says the planned military action or invasion would run foul of the obligations in the ECOWAS treaties and therefore amounting to illegality. Now, other plaintiffs in the matter include a former Director General of the Nigeria Institute of the Internal Affairs, Professor Bola Akintainwa, and Hamza Dantani, a northern Nigeria-based lawyer. Defendants in the matter include ECOWAS, Authority of Heads of State and Government, President of ECOWAS Mission, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the Republic of Niger. He said the military intervention would specifically violate Articles 1, 5, 15, 16, 17, 21, 22, and 24 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and others. No date has yet been fixed for hearing of the suit. Now let's expand that development now. Joining us via Zoom is a constitutional lawyer and a rights activist, Samuel Aking, joining us via Zoom. Mr. Samuel, thank you very much for making time. We do appreciate you very much for joining us on the news update. First of all, your initial thoughts on this lawsuit and whether the grounds are enough to stop ECOWAS from considering this military action.
Good afternoon, everyone, and it's my privilege to be here. I think first, let me say that it's an unfortunate situation we find ourselves in West Africa at this period. Niger, we are not there, but from what we are seeing in the news, it's under attack, and attack also extends to democracy, and that is what initiated the Egalitarian Mission for Africa and other concerned citizens of Nigeria to institute this action before the ECOWAS court. The ECOWAS court has jurisdiction to determine matters that borders on enforcement of fundamental rights of member states. And as you all know, Nigeria, Niger, West African countries are members of the ECOWAS. And ECOWAS has a treaty on peacekeeping that has been signed by these countries. We understand the need to restore democracy in Niger, but however, the law has to be followed, not just by instigating external aggression on Niger at the moment. We understand that the military has taken over, but Articles 26, Articles 25, Articles 27 of the ECOWAS articles on peacekeeping and resolution of conflict has provided for the guide and the steps to follow. So if this commission has failed to follow those guidelines, then we have a locus to go to the court, because as human rights organization, the ECOWAS has that jurisdiction, and we also have the locus to approach the court to see reason why this military aggression and intervention ought to be stopped. There should be peacekeeping first.
Right.
It is when this peacekeeping has failed that you can proceed. Thank you.
Barrister, it's safe to say that the treaty does not foresee a situation where this could happen in the future, or perhaps did not decide to make it a part of the treaty when it was being signed back in '75. But there is also precedence for it, because also in the article, I think there's a part that also talks about it. Just before talking about non-aggression between member states, it also did talk about solidarity. And for most people, this is the whole point: solidarity to maintain democracy in Niger Republic. But away from that, let's bring back the situation, or perhaps reflect on the situation that happened back in late 2001 to early 2002, when the United States alongside Britain were considering invading Iraq. And I do remember the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and the entire United Nations basically saying that there is no grounds for war, this invasion should not go ahead, but it ended up happening. What are the chances that, regardless of what the court says, if ECOWAS sees the need for a military action, that it does have the right to do so?
Like I said earlier, the ECOWAS treaty was signed by host countries. And by signing that, you have given an undertaking that to exercise your sovereignty, you have to follow the due process of the law. So the ECOWAS court has that jurisdiction to determine whether their action is right or not. So if the ECOWAS court has decided and given its decision, and then they go ahead and invade Niger, it will be a slap on the face to democracy, because the reason why they are saying they are going to Niger is to restore democracy. So if you are going to restore democracy by using military intervention, you are just, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. We cannot tell what their decision is, but the ECOWAS treaty provides, and the rules of the ECOWAS court provides that once an action has been filed before the court, parties must maintain status quo. So until the court decide, they ought not to take any further step in respect of this action.
Right. Obviously, this is unprecedented, because there was never a point in time when ECOWAS had to consider this particular situation. Now dealing with the courts, as well as what's happening in Niger Republic, is definitely going to be an eye-opener, looking at the treaty itself, those articles, and how the extraordinary summit that is scheduled to take place on Thursday is likely going to shed more light on it. But also, just shed light very briefly before we go on the provision that says that states must find a peaceful resolution to any conflict between states. And I reckon this does qualify as a conflict between Niger Republic, or at least the military leadership, and the rest of ECOWAS. How do you see this coming to light in the court?
I think that is even the ground for upon which we have gone to the court. Article 27 of the ECOWAS protocol relating to the mechanism for conflict prevention and management resolution, peacekeeping and security, that was signed in 1999 by both Nigeria, Niger, and some of these other countries, has provided for how to resolve disputes between member states, to restore conflict, is by approaching the territory and by having a meeting. The Security Council of the ECOWAS, we approach the host country, and then it is called mediation. The Article 27 provides for a mediation mechanism where they sit on the table and resolve the conflict. The essence of having ECOWAS is that all the countries are on the same page. So if you are invading another country,
right. Many thanks to Barrister Samuel Aking, a constitutional lawyer and a human rights activist, weighing in on developments around the legal suit filed against ECOWAS in light of the military ultimatum, or military action ultimatum by ECOWAS against the military regime in Niger Republic. Now, two witnesses testifying the ongoing job racketeering scandal rocking the ministries, departments and agencies of government have accused the former IPPIS desk officer at the Federal Character Commission, Haruna Kolo, and a driver of the Taraba Federal Commissioner of receiving 1 million and 2 million naira respectively for them to facilitate employment opportunity in the Federal Character Commission. The two witnesses, Abdul Malik Ahmed Isa from Adamawa and Aliaro from Borno State, gave their testimony during cross-examination at the ongoing investigation hearing of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Job Racketeering and Mismanagement of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPPIS, on Tuesday at the National Assembly. Both of the witnesses alleged that they have been receiving salaries for up to a year, but are yet to receive employment letters and posting from the Commission to date. In his response, the chairman of the committee, Honorable Yusuf Gaji, while pledging legislative protection for the witnesses and placement regularization, extended another invitation to the accused former FCC IPPIS official Haruna Kolo to appear before the committee on Wednesday unfailingly to explain his role in light of the recent allegations.
Emiaro and Abdulrazak Emiaro paid the sum of 2 million naira to Badamasi A. Jallo's account on 2nd August 2022. Badamasi A. Jallo is working with Kolo Haruna, and the money paid into his account was for the employment with Federal Character Commission. And Kolo Haruna told me that this lot is for the chairperson. That is why I will be captured on IPPIS platform.
The HR confirmed to us that our appointments are genuine. They are from the chairman. We should just go, you communicate to us. So before they cleverly took our appointment letters from us. And they promised to regularize us, that we should be patient. So on those bases, we had the development of this investigation, and the chairman went on air saying she has wrote a letter to disengage us. So to me, how can I be engaged for 2 years waiting for posting? And the next thing I'll hear is a letter to disengage me.
Decided to be a good citizen of this country, coming from that region, and try to use your little resources to be able to have what to eat. And I commend the two of you for your bravery to appear before this committee. In your own case, Ali Mohammed, you have sworn to a notary public of the Supreme Court. Your statement is under the oath of the Supreme Court. That is the highest level anybody can do to seek for justice. And everybody is emotional with you. Everybody here. We cannot cry like you, but our heart bleeds for you people and bleed for this country.
Now, no fewer than 14 villagers have been abducted in 3 different villages across Sabwa local government area of Katsina State. The terrorists, in a separate attack, were said to have abducted the victims after invading their villages at around 1 a.m. midnight. Now, the villages include Yakaka in Garazi Ward, in Yelagwada in Maibako Ward of Maiturmi in Rafin Iwa Ward. The terrorists abducted 7 persons at Yakaka village, 6 of them at Yelagwada village and 1 woman at Maiturmi village. The police spokesperson ASP Abubakar Sadiq also confirmed the incident on Wednesday morning. He says the police are already on top of the situation with a view to rescuing the victims and arresting the perpetrators. All right, you're watching the news update on Trust TV. Still to come, we'll take a look at the plight of fish market sellers under the current economic situation. More news coming up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news update on Trust TV. Here's a quick recap of our top stories at this hour. Resident doctors suspend planned nationwide protest, says action or industrial action continues. And group drags ECOWAS to court over Niger military action ultimatum. Now, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has scaled up efforts towards the elimination of trans fatty acid foods from food supplies across Nigeria. The NAFDAC Director General, Professor Mojisola Adeye, lamented that more than 36 million people die annually from non-communicable diseases, adding that cardiovascular diseases account for 17.5 million deaths across Nigeria. Here's the report.
There have been several campaigns against the use of unhealthy oils due to their harmful effect on people. Most of these products reportedly contain high levels of cholesterol, which increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases leading to many deaths. To this end, the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has expressed optimism that Nigerians will enjoy better food quality and health following the recent gazette of the reviewed Fats, Oil and Food Containing Fats and Oil Regulation 2022 and the Pre-Packaged Food Labeling Regulation 2022. NAFDAC Director General Mojisola Adeye will disclose this at a press briefing jointly organized by the agency and the Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPA, noted that deaths attributable to trans fatty acids in Nigerian foods leading to heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lung disease, among others, will now reduce drastically.
We have reviewed the fat and oils regulation, and we have a newly gazetted regulation known as Fats, Oils and Food Containing Fat and Oils Regulation 2022.
She also revealed that NAFDAC is already working with partners to find alternative sources to the existing partially hydrogenated oils that are the source of industrially produced trans fatty acids. The Executive Director of Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPA, Akimbode Oluwafemi, said the media must continue to play a key role in educating the public on the content of the regulations.
What NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation by now having a a labeling that an informed consumer can really understand and check and see.
And from the part of the ministry, definitely there will be an overarching policy that is following, that will come up with it. We are also reviewing the national safety, food safety and policy and quality policy.
When I mean a lot, I will also speak to what concerns your ministry, which is the areas of food policy. You mentioned sugar, you mentioned salt, and every other things that we consume.
If these regulations are well implemented and we stop having the wrong oils for the populace to use, the populace will be protected without them even knowing.
The Fats, Oil and Food Containing Fats and Oil Regulation 2022 includes provisions and the scope of application, source of edible fats and oils, vitamin A fortification, additives and impurities. It also covers the labeling of fats and oils products, labeling limits and claims for trans fats and cholesterol, and penalties, among others.
Now in Borno State, crisis is brewing between members of fish sellers and fish farmers youth association in Baga Motor Park, which is a fish market branch, and the committee charged with revenue collection at the fish market, with traders appealing to the Borno State government to intervene. Members made the appeal while alleging that the current leadership of the market has overstayed its welcome in office. Adamu Gulde reports from Maiduguri.
The chairman Fish Sellers and Fish Farmers Youth Association, Abubakar Abacha, said though they appreciate the state governor Umar Zulum for reopening the market, but wants government to address the injustice meted out to them by the committee handling fish business at the Baga Road Fish Market. He also alleged that the committee is collecting revenue without issuing receipts, attributing this to overstay of the leadership of the market. He urges the government to look into the matter with a view to preparing solutions.
The leadership of the market is affecting the market. Some people have taken it personal, which is making the market to fluctuate.
Chairman Sokoto Kebbi Zamfara State residents in Borno, Usman Maude, urged the state government to look into the situation and proper solution in the interest of fish, suggesting that a caretaker committee be set up.
My members constitute 80% of fish sellers in Borno, and I have been complaining on the issue of the revenue and calling on the government to do the needful.
A fish trader, Bintu Bukar, said the revenue charges are draining their earning in the market.
We are calling on the government and the concerned authority to help solve the problem, as it will help in reducing the prices of fishes in the market.
Responding to the allegation, the National President Fisheries Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, Muhammad Laminu, enjoined members to channel their grievances to the appropriate authority, describing their actions as gross misconduct, saying the committee was constituted by the state government to revive business activities in the state and will not in any way support injustice.
All fish that are coming, they will not be allowed to come into the market to upload unless the revenue is paid. Because after the payment of the revenue, we have to transmit the receipt and the evidence of payment to the Attorney General, to the military and all other people before they allow. So anybody that wanted to know whether it is 3 billion, 10 billion, 1 billion or whatsoever, the figure was best known to the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Animal Plantation.
Traders pay 1,500 naira per package of fish, and all collectively revenues supposed to go to the government coffers. From Maiduguri, Adamu Ngulde, Trust TV News.
Now to developments on the international scene. 5 people have been killed in the South African city of Cape Town as a strike by minibus taxi drivers that began last week turned violent, according to authorities on Tuesday. The South African National Taxi Council, SANTACO, announced a 1-week provincial shutdown last Thursday after failing to resolve various issues with the local government in Cape Town. The grievances arose after the new municipal law gave local authorities the power to impound vehicles for violations such as driving without licenses or registration plates. Sporadic violence erupted in different parts of the city after police began impounding vehicles last week as angry protesters touched buses and cars and pelted the police with stones. Among the dead was a 40-year-old British national who who was shot and killed on Thursday. South African Police Minister Bheki Cele said in a media briefing on Tuesday, adding that the murders and the violence were being investigated. The office of the City of Cape Town says the strike had severely affected people commuting to work and at times left them stranded due to attacks on public transportation services. Santaco had distanced itself from the violence and said such acts were fueled by protesters and not members of the association. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. Follow us across our social media platforms for more. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time.